In this video, I'm gonna name my 8 favorite or best Panasonic Lumix cameras ever. Hi guys, my name is Matti Sulanto. I'm a photographer and a Lumix ambassador. And in this video, I'm gonna list my 8 best Panasonic Lumix cameras ever. Panasonic does not have a long history as a camera manufacturer, long as some other manufacturers who started with film cameras many decades ago. But Panasonic has made a number of remarkable digital cameras, and Panasonic has always been the leader when it comes to video features. And I decided to make a list of the best Lumix cameras ever. The best in my opinion. And once you have seen my list, please do leave a comment down below and tell me your best, 8 best or 5 best or 3 best Lumix cameras ever. I'd like to see if your list is similar to mine. And I have used each one of these cameras that I'm going to name in just a second. And while I'm talking, I'm gonna show you some pictures that I've shot on each camera. And the first camera on my list is the LX1, which was launched in 2005. It was so-called premium compact camera, and it was also the first in now famous LX camera series. Premium compact cameras were still in high demand in 2005 because smartphones really didn't exist and smartphone cameras didn't exist back then. But since then the situation has changed a lot, as we all know. The LX1 had 8 megapixels, which was a pretty good pixel count back then, and it was well made, very responsive, extremely good looking camera, and it had some really nice features for a compact camera. But it also had one major downside, and that was the image noise. And I also remember that I was kind of almost horrified by the image noise, but nonetheless I made some really nice images on my LX1 back in 2005 and 2006. And the next one on my list is the G1, of course. The G1 was launched in September 2008 at Photokina. And it was the first Micro Four Thirds camera, it was the first digital mirrorless system camera, and it was the first camera to have a decent electronic viewfinder, and it was a really impressive camera. And I remember when I first got to try it, I was really impressed by the mirrorless design and the electronic viewfinder and everything. And I remember I said back then that if this is the future, bring it on. I want to be part of it and I want to have more cameras like this. The G1 had no video at all, but back then the video was not yet quite one of the major features or one of the must-have features. And talking about video, the next camera on my list is the GH1, which was launched in March 2008. And that was the first camera in the now famous GH series of cameras. And that camera had impressive video features. It was only 1080p though, because back then 4K was not exactly mainstream yet. But nonetheless, it was an impressive video camera, and the kit lens even had a stepless aperture, so you could have those smooth exposure changes in your video. Unfortunately, I didn't find my GH1 photographs anywhere, or the pictures that I shot on that camera. They must be on some hard drive that I didn't find or didn't go through. So no pictures, unfortunately, but now let's move on to the next camera. And the next one is the legendary GH4, which was launched in February 2014. It was the first 4K video-capable Lumix system camera, and at the same time it set the whole new standards for video. And the video features of the GH4 would be pretty competitive even today. It could, for example, do 4K 422 10-bit to external recorder, only external, but still it could do it. And it also had the proper Cinema 4K aspect ratio, which is slightly wider than the normal 4K UHD aspect ratio. All in all, really impressive video capable system camera. And also, unfortunately, I could not find my GH4 photographs. I know they are there on some hard drive, but in this video we just have to do without those photographs. And the next one on the list is the FZ1000, which was launched in June 2014. And that camera had 1-inch 20 megapixel sensor and a really impressive 25 to 400 millimeter equivalent zoom lens with a relatively fast f2.8 to f4 maximum aperture. The image quality was really impressive. I remember when I first tried the camera, I was impressed by the image quality in photographs, but also the 4K video quality was really impressive, and the 4K video was becoming a standard for Lumix cameras at around that time. The FZ1000 was one of the first, if not the first, compact or bridge camera to have 4K video capabilities. It was not exactly a small camera, but if you think about the awesome zoom range, I think the whole package was still quite acceptable. And the next up is the Lumix GX8, launched in July 2015. And that was the first 20 megapixel Micro Four Thirds camera. And I remember when I first tried the camera, I remember it was kind of big to my taste, but all the controls and the ergonomics were really great. It was also the first Lumix camera to have the dual IS stabilization system that combines the sensor and the optical lens stabilizer, and they work together to make a superb stabilization. The GX8 had a tilting viewfinder like the GX9 that I have here, similar and excellent 2.36 million dot viewfinder, and of course 4K video capabilities as well. And the next one absolutely has to be on this list, and that is of course the G9, which was launched in November 2017. And the G9 is simply the best and most versatile Micro Four Thirds camera ever. It is essentially a professional grade camera. It's fast and responsive. It has really impressive dual IS stabilizer. It has a large high-res viewfinder, and it has truly impressive video features too, especially after the latest firmware update. And it's also one of my favorite Micro Four Thirds cameras ever. Not the smallest Micro Four Thirds camera, but the ergonomics and usability make up for that, and it's such a pleasure to use every time. And the next one, and also the last one on my list, is the Lumix S1. Launched in February 2019. It's the first Lumix full-frame camera and a new venture for Panasonic in that regard. It is a big, chunky, robust, 100% professional-grade camera for a working photographer. And the S1 also has truly remarkable video features, especially after the latest firmware update. And the reason to have the S1 on this list and not the S1R are the video features, which are not quite as impressive on the S1R, even though that is not a bad video camera either. But because of the video features, I chose the S1 on this list of mine. So those are my 8 best Lumix cameras ever. And now I'd like to see your 8 best or 5 best Lumix cameras ever. Please do leave me a comment down below and name your best Lumix cameras ever. And also, if you like my channel and you like my content, please do subscribe and like and all that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.